Hi everyone, I just wanted to record this video because I wanted to share I, I guess what I went through and the revelations that were given to me. I am not a devout Christian at all, but I guess there's a strong conviction in my heart because the things that were revealed to me were very strong and relevant, and even the sharing part is also a conviction that I have. I'm trying to do this now because I think that I've fully processed the things that had happened in the past week and how I felt all throughout it, and again, what was revealed to me. You know, when you've experienced so much trauma and heartaches in life, and you think you've gone through it and you've overcame everything and you've moved on, out of nowhere you're at an emotional low and you don't know why. And I think it's because you don't know it, but your body knows the trauma that happened around that time. And then I just realized, and I just remembered that it was my dad's death anniversary on the 17th, and I try not to think about it, but then I just remembered. And then apart from that, I know that I get very emotional. All my emotions are heightened before my period, but then maybe this is what I'm thinking. I think I've suppressed all those negative feelings because I was preparing for something, and so just exploded at the end of it. It had terrible timing. And that's not it. There's like so much stuff, but I'm not trying to make this into a sob story and stuff. Just giving you a background on, I guess, why I felt that way. I felt like so doubtful of myself and my value. I felt inadequate, invaluable, that I couldn't contain. Normally when I feel down, I tend to withdraw myself so that I don't bum out others. But then at that time I couldn't, and man, it's just like it had to come out some way, somehow. Going back to what was revealed to me was 2 Corinthians 5:7, and it says like how we walk by faith and not by sight. And a lot of those senses, the feelings that I've had, are not who I am, are not true, and they are not my guide. So my feelings are not my guide. And that's what the verse says, that to walk by faith. And when you say faith, it's not a feeling, it's more of a commitment, a behavior, an action. It's something that you want to do, that you have to do. And the ability to walk is not when the feeling of faith is convenient, but rather when the conviction of faith is necessary. It's the actions that we do, it's the steps that we take that matter. So for example, the feelings that we feel, like being angry and hurt, or for example lustful, that's not the sin, that's a feeling. It's the action that you do after feeling that emotion that creates the sin. And if we go back to that time when Moses was guiding people from Israel, right, guiding people out of Israel, and then the Egyptians were charging after them, the people saw, so they were governed by sight, saw the Egyptians charging after them, and so it resulted to a feeling, and the feeling was fear. And then what was their action after that? They actually blamed Moses for taking them out of Egypt. Before they were thankful, but now that they see the Egyptians charging after them, they go back to blaming. And to be fair, they were living that. And so the emotion of being fearful is justified, is reasonable, because they knew what the Egyptians could do. I guess they would know the consequences if they were to be caught. They would be killed. And this is why dwelling in those emotions would do you more harm than good. When Moses cried out to God and asked him for help, telling the people that God will save us from this. And then God responded to Moses and he said, "Why do you cry for me? Tell your people to go forward." If I were in their place, it would have been a horrible sight, horrible situation. But like, it's funny because they do know that God is on their side, and all they need to do is literally walk by faith. There was a body of water in front of them, so where do they go? And if I were Moses, I would also be afraid at that point. And so Moses, like, with a shaky hand, and I think he had a shaky hand because he was old and he was scared. But even when he was feeling that way, even with the people were feeling that way, and so when Moses stretched out his hand, even if it was shaky, he lifted up his staff and the seas parted. And so again, it is the action, the behavior that matters after that. We know the story, but they didn't know. They were living that. But they showed this huge gesture of faith by moving forward. Literally, God told them to move forward. Take one step. Not run, just walk. Take one step. Walk. And that's what hit me. That those people were feeling doubtful. Those people were in an all-time low. They were feeling that way. But despite feeling that way, they acted in faith. They walked. Literally, metaphorically, figuratively, they were showing this huge gesture of faith by moving forward, taking a step forward and walking, not running, just walk. And that's what it was to me, that I was feeling doubtful, low and invaluable and judged and inadequate. All those feelings all put together in a very bad timing. It showed me that I can still move forward and walk in faith even when I'm in doubt. You have to remember that when those people walked through the parted seas, they were walking by foot. The Egyptians, they had chariots, and those had wheels. And what do we know about wheels? They don't work on water. So we've established that the feeling is not the sin. It's the action after that, if you do choose to sin. And letting those emotions sit for a long time would do you bad as well. So what it's telling me is that sometimes you have to let those emotions go through you. You feel it, but you don't let it sit for a long time. You let it move through you so that you can move through it, if that makes any sense. Especially in the days today that we see a lot of fake news. Let's just call it fake news. Our senses see that, which makes us believe a certain way and then makes us behave a certain way. And we have to change that. We have to behave a certain way. You have to walk by faith. God will help us get through it as long as we move through it. And even with Peter, right? When they were trying to catch fish, and then there was a storm, then God was walking on water, but they didn't know that. They said, oh, it's a ghost. But then God said, don't be afraid, it's me. They saw certain things that they didn't know. That's why they were afraid. So senses, feelings, then they believed a certain way. And so they behaved a certain way. Even Peter was doubtful. He even asked, like, if it is you, tell me to come to you. If, so that's that keyword, if. He was doubtful. Yet he displayed a great action of faith by asking God to ask him to go to him. And that's like another verb, another action. And then Jesus just said, come. Simple as a 4-letter word, as come. It's moving, action, behavior. And that's where I was. I was very doubtful. I felt invaluable, inadequate among everything else. But I didn't want to stay that way. And so I tried to take a step out in doubt. I had to step out in doubt so I can walk by faith, if that makes any sense. At the end, it's all about surrender. Everything else is taken care by God. Yesterday was an answer to my prayers. after feeling that certain way and after stepping in doubt, I asked for faith. I asked for him to just take over. I surrender everything to him. And then the verse of the day yesterday, if you have a Bible app, basically answered my question. You person with little faith, why do you doubt? So yeah, like Peter, he walked on water. But when he started to look away, because he saw like a big wind or a big storm coming, he looked away for a sec. And he started to sink. And he cried out for help. There was God. And God, or Jesus said, oh, what little faith you have. Why do you doubt? Which tells me that we can doubt. But let's not let that make us drown. So that again is an answered prayer. Man, I am so blessed to have such an amazing God. And again, I'm not the most devout Christian out there, but that's how it was revealed to me. Thanks for watching. God bless. Love you. Bye.